Padakapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Geetamrita Duhe Namaha. Hare Krishna. My humble obeisances to all the devotees. Hare Krishna. So last time when we had met, that time we had seen up till 9 shlokas of third chapter. Today we will take it ahead. Before we start, let us quickly recite the important shlokas for memorization. All of you can unmute during this time. Today we will also take the 2 new shlokas for memorization, which actually come ahead. They are from 3rd and 4th chapter, but we will have that practice of reciting, so that by the time when we are studying them, you are all memorized it. You have memorized that. So please unmute and recite with me these shlokas. Karpanya dosho bahata swabhava pritchami tvam dharma sammudha cheta yashreyasyan nishchitam bruhi tanme Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara prapte dhirastatra muhyate na jayate priyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyata ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire bhogaishvarya prasaktanam taya bhakrita chetasa yamika buddhi samadho na vidhiyate. So taking the shlokas of 3rd and 4th chapter, there are 1 shloka in 3rd, 1 in 4th. So that will be the first part of our shloka test. 6 shlokas in first part and 6 in the other part. Total 12 we have to memorize. So 3rd chapter shloka is this famous shloka, 27th shloka. Please repeat after me. Prakrite kriyamanani
Prakrite kriyamanani
gunai karmani sarvashah
gunai karmani sarvashah
ahankara vimudhatma
ahankara vimudhatma
kartaham iti manyate.
kartaham iti manyate.
Anyone, 2 devotees can recite?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
Prakruteः kriyamānāni gunaiः karmāni sarvashah ahankara vimūಢātma kartaham iti manyate.
Anyone more devotee? Yes, ma'am.
Prakrite kriyamānāni gunai karmāni sarvasah ahankara vimūಢātma kartaham iti manyate.
Very good. So the 4th chapter, 2nd verse is the another verse. Let's do that also. Please repeat after me. Evam parampara praptam
Evam parampara praptam
imam rajarshayo viduhu
Imam
rajeshva viduhu
kale neha mahata
sakale mahata
yogo nashtah parantapa.
yogo nashta parantapa.
Any other 2 devotees can recite?
Prakrite kriyamanani gunai.
No. Second one, 4 point.
Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakalaine hamahata yogo nashta parantapa.
One more. Anyone more?
Evam parampara praptam imam rajasyo viduha sakalena mahata yogo nashta parantapa.
So we will study these shlokas ahead, but just that we are having the practice of recitation. So thank you. We will get the chance to do recitation ahead more. Let's go to the discussion. So last time we started the 3rd chapter, very important chapter, Karma Yoga, the art of work, which Prabhupada says, Karma Yoga, in which we completed the first section. The first section, actually, the chapter starts with the question of Arjuna. Last time we dwelled much on this, that what is better for me, tell one instruction very clearly, O Krishna. Do not speak ambiguously. Speak it very clearly. Vyamishreneva vakyena buddhir mohayasiva me. By speaking, equally emphasizing jnana and karma, you are actually confusing me, bewildering my intelligence. Tadekam vada nishchitya yena shreyo hamapnuva. Means tell me one decisive, suggestive action, whether I should work or should I renounce. This is an important question of Arjuna, which keeps repeating again, which comes again in one of the chapters ahead. And there Krishna does much deeper discussion. So here he is giving the principles for common man to understand and act accordingly. So the first shloka, the first section of this chapter, which discussed on whether one should renounce the work or should one do his duties but have a spirit of not attachment to results and devotion to the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada explains that also. So let us quickly see the shloka, the last shloka we covered, that was 9th shloka, where let's see from 8th shloka, that's more appropriate. So who is reading for few shlokas today?
I'll read, Prabhuji.
Read this translation on the screen.
Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work.
So we may remember this, how much Krishna emphasized doing one's duty. He initially started telling that there is no option of not doing any action. A jiva, especially in conditioned soul, is forced to act. Is forced to act. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatutishtatya karma karyatehi avashaha karma. This is one of the verses we studied last time. It is 5th, I think. Yeah, 5th. Sarva prakriti. So the soul is, the conditioned soul is forced to act. In that situation, when a person is not purified in his heart, if one forcefully restrains one's senses, but internally in his heart, he has not developed that knowledge, nor an aspiration to not attach oneself to the results of activity. He is not purified in his heart. He is in fact scheming to fulfill one's desires. That's how mind thinks. Mind is not purified. Externally, he is showing as if he is renounced. He is not acting by his senses. But internally, he is very attached materially. And what did Krishna call such a person as? He called him, he labeled such a mentality. Any of you remember? Pretender. Yeah, he's called a pretender. Sanskrit word in that shloka is mithya achara. Mithya means false. Achara means action. He's showing externally as a very saintly person, but his heart, his internal senses, antahkarana, is not pure. So for renunciation of action, there is a prerequisite. There is a precondition. What is that? Internal purification. Last time we were seeing in Varnashrama, when a person attains to sannyasa, or even vanaprastha and sannyasa both, which are both orders of renunciation, there he has come in the yoga ladder up to jnana yoga. And by that time, he has developed that detachment from results of action. He has developed that detachment. Then only is qualified. Otherwise, one is not supposed to take that renunciation. So Krishna says, please do not set a false precedent, a wrong precedent for people for future. In fact, they will fall into this great trap of mithyachara. And then Krishna told in the 7th shloka that that's why you should act without attachment. And here in 8th, he's telling, doing duty is better than not working. And one has to work in this world for a livelihood. And in the 9th shloka, which was like the conclusion of this section, read the translation. It is also a very important shloka, Yajnarthat Karmanam. Read the translation, Mataji.
Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage.
From bondage. So have a higher principle, the principle of Yajna. The ultimate principle is Supreme Lord Vishnu himself. That's why the name Yajna is equated with Lord Vishnu, as we say in Vishnu Sahasranam. So the point is, offer one's actions for the spiritual cause, for Supreme Lord Vishnu's satisfaction. That only will make you free from bondage. So the thread which is going here is how, by performing the fighting, Arjuna will be free from karmic bondage. You know, that Nishkama Karma Yoga, which was also called Buddhi Yoga in the second chapter, it is again repeated here. And that defeats the third argument of Arjuna, which was fear of sinful reactions. Right? So one may say, after this, that, oh, but people in general are too attached materially to perform actions without attachment to the results is very difficult for them. It's in fact almost impossible for them. What is the course of action for them? So there has to be a gradual step-by-step process. And that is called as yoga ladder. So last time I have already shown this slide multiple times, the ladder of progression of consciousness. It's an evolution of one's consciousness. Today I've added one more section in this, just to make it a little more clear on how one's destination goes. So we all know, conditioned soul, desiring happiness separate from Lord, he keeps taking material bodies repeatedly, and he doesn't care to follow any kind of regulation, and he's only interested in bodily happiness. That is the stage of animal life. From there, he realizes that if I follow the scriptures which are said to be given by God, then I can get better happiness, better quality of happiness. In fact, a long-term happiness, material happiness, is guaranteed by karma kanda. I think that's a better way to fulfill my desire for happiness. That's when a person begins to follow Vedas. He accepts the Vedas as superior, and he submits to follow them. Very important step. And here he is following many rituals, worshipping many devatas, but all for the desire for material happiness. Maybe in this life, next life, or maybe lives after that also. But all within this material world. So when he's doing these rituals, he's studying the Shastras. Vedas are predominantly karma kanda in nature, the 4 Vedas per se. He also comes across the priests saying, or the Shastras speaking, the nature of this world, how the experience of happiness is temporary. He may try for future happiness, next life happiness, but that's also temporary. Even Swarga, there is so much of competition, so much Indra also has to battle against. And in that way, there is always a feeling of frustration, disappointment for conditions. That's when he begins to accept a non-material goal of life, spiritual goal, which is liberation. It is called yoga, karma yoga. A person who is accepted karma yoga means he has accepted liberation or transcendence as his goal. And he, in the beginning, aims for liberation. That's why there's a dotted line here. He aims for liberation. So karma yoga has 2 parts, sakama, nishkama. It's a progression. Nishkama is advanced stage where one has lost the attachment to results of action. So as one progresses, he may also come across, when he becomes very pure, conventionally, he had attachment to the action, but he had developed detachment from the results of action. But after some time, he even loses attachment for action. That's when he takes to renunciation. See, what Arjuna's question of renunciation has to come after Nishkama Karma Yoga. So that's when he accepts Jnana Yoga, which actually is compulsorily asking for one to renounce one's activities of in this world. So that is Jnana Yoga. And usually a person aiming Jnana, practicing Jnana Yoga, his goal is Brahman realization. We have seen about Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan earlier also. And from there, if he progresses in consciousness, follows the Shastras properly, then he may even realize this, that God is not just impersonal and all-pervading. He is also present everywhere in his personal form as Paramatma. That's when he develops meditation on that, all-pervading personal form called Paramatma. So that is Ashtanga Yoga. He has followed very nice, strict methods of sense control, and now is meditating on Paramatma realization. So a person who goes to Karma Yoga, he may go to Brahman and he may stay there. A person goes, otherwise he may continue to Jnana Yoga, and from there with more knowledge, he may go to Jnana, Brahman. But if one wants to understand more deeply, he may go to Ashtanga Yoga and he goes to Paramatma realization. But very fortunately, if he gets association of devotees, very importantly I'm stating here, only when he gets association of a devotee will he be able to access Bhakti Yoga. The attainment of Bhakti Yoga cannot be done on one's own. Very important. You cannot do it on one's own. So this is a gradual, conventional yoga ladder or a progression. Now, if one gets, okay, I put it here in another way, that is in Karma Yoga, one may go for some material fulfillment. In Sakama also, he may get that kind of he has still his impure. In Jnana Yoga, he may land in liberation. It's called Jnana. Ashtanga Yoga, it is siddhis. That is the distraction of siddhis. Now, if a person gets association of devotees, then there is no necessity of Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. Say, suppose in Karma Yoga stage itself, he got association of devotee. So then he has got an association of devotee, he has started to render devotional service. So he begins, his purification starts happening along with his practice of devotional service. And this purification is considered superior. A devotee Sakama Karma Yogi is far superior than a non-devotee Sakama Karma Yogi. Because he has which is far powerful. There is also a help, superior help given by Acharya, a Guru, and Lord Krishna himself in Bhakti Yoga. You have studied this in Upanishad too. That's why there is a faster purification, more effective purification, and he comes to Nishkama Karma Yoga very quickly. So he is already performing sadhana bhakti. And after Nishkama Karma Yoga, you can see here there is no Jnana Yoga, there is no Ashtanga Yoga, but in fact, higher stages of bhakti. This Bhakti Yoga is in fact expanded into Bhava Bhakti Prema. Is this clear, Hare Krishna? Any comment or question? This is important to understand because now onwards we are going to see different steps of this yoga ladder, and you should know each of those characteristics of each of those steps. Okay.
Hare
And the
Krishna,
purpose-
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji,
Yeah. Just a minute.
Prabhuji,
Just a minute. I'll just conclude it. So you should all know characteristics of each step, how each step is different from the step above. And Prabhupada, he often explains, as I was telling earlier, he often explains Bhakti Yoga in the light of, in connection with this, lower yogas. Say when there is description of Karma Yoga, Prabhupada will say how Bhakti Yoga does it the best. When there is description of Jnana Yoga, he explains how Bhakti Yoga includes Jnana Yoga, and that is achieved, that actions are performed. Those results are easily attained by Bhakti Yogas. So like this, these things we should know very clearly. And the point that it's also important is you also have the second open book question, which is to describe these steps of yogas, yoga ladder, starting from Karma Kanda, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and ultimately Bhakti Yoga. These 5 steps you have to explain, quoting from different sections of these first 6 chapters. So that starts from here, actually. Of course, there was some mention about it in 2nd chapter. It's a summary of the entire Gita. We saw that. But from here, Krishna dedicatedly explains in his words. So we will see them as it comes. Mark, what is that stage of yoga ladder which is described here? Okay, yeah, any question or comment?
Prabhuji, the term Buddhi Yoga is sometimes used for different things, I feel, so I don't have a very clear concept of that.
Buddhi Yoga conventionally means Nishkama Karma Yoga. Conventional means it's a gradual method. So, but when so Nishkama Karma Yoga is Buddhi Yoga. That's why you will see in that 2nd chapter verses, Krishna telling about Nishkama Karma Yoga. But Prabhupada says when a devotee is on that stage, or when he has got an association. So at this stage, Nishkama Karma Yoga, it's also Buddhi Yoga. So it's also Bhakti Yoga. So all 3 are equated for a devotee. But conventionally, Buddhi Yoga means Nishkama Karma. Actually, what is Buddhi Yoga? Working in knowledge. Buddhi. So what is that Buddhi? For a person who has not got an association of devotee, his jnana or buddhi is Atma Jnana, that he is a spirit soul, different from this body. That's the realization of Nishkama Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga, which is leading one to Brahman realization, has understanding about self as non-material spirit soul. But when one gets higher and higher understanding, especially when he gets devotional service, he understands he is servant of Krishna. Is it not? So his knowledge, his part and parcel of Krishna, his duty is to serve Krishna. So that way, that is knowledge of a bhakta who is practicing Buddhi Yoga. So that way, Buddhi Yoga and Bhakti Yoga are same only. Is it not? Is that clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So you may have noted, we had highlighted that in the earlier 2nd chapter, book Prabhupada uses Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Buddhi Yoga interchangeably. In fact, there was one very clear line there. Or Prabhupada had.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Any other comment or question? Yes.
Guruji, can we relate Atma Yoga with Bhakti Yoga?
What yoga?
Atma Yoga with Bhakti Yoga?
Atma Yoga. There is something called Adhyatma Yoga, which I have not heard the word Atma Yoga. So Adhyatma Yoga, which is described by Kapila in Srimad Bhagavatam, is devotional service. Third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Adhyatma Yoga. So when you're talking Atma Yoga, what does it mean, Mataji? Can you explain? Because then I can understand that term.
It's a soul knowledge, Prabhu.
That knowledge of
one who realizes about the soul.
That's a knowledge. That's a Sankhya. when one is ascending from Sankhya. So that comes from Nishkama Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, both have that understanding, Atma. Okay? That understanding is there of Atma in both these stages. In fact, Sakama only has it, but his actions are still attached. Sakama Karma Yoga. Okay? Yeah.
Okay, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, one doubt.
Yeah.
In Nishkam Karma Yoga, it is said like when a person is doing his prescribed duty in the service of the Krishna.
Hmm.
And in the Gyan Yoga, what is the difference in his duties, Prabhuji?
So you are talking Nishkama Karma Yoga or
And the
Bhakti
Gyan
Yoga.
Yoga.
Or Bhakti Yoga. This is this one you're talking, because you told about service of Krishna, right? But conventionally, Nishkama Karma Yoga, he does what? He does actions without attachment to result.
Okay,
He
that
knows
means,
if I,
okay, without any knowledge of the Krishna.
he conventionally he doesn't have.
Okay.
A regular Nishkama Karma Yogi will not have. But when he gets association, he also practice. Bhakta is also practicing Nishkama Karma.
Then it comes into the Gyan Yoga.
Then that Nishkama Karma Yoga should actually be called Bhakti Yoga.
But Prabhuji, Bhakti Yoga is the topmost.
Yeah, but here it is sadhana bhakti. See this word? So then the yoga ladder should be referred this one. Are you seeing this? See, do not get confused. The terms may look like this. The consciousness you see, the person, he has still proprietorship mentality, enjoyership mentality. He wants to accept the results. So first purification should happen. That is, at least give away the results. Then give away the actions. Then develop
What do you
meditation.
mean by actions, Prabhuji? Like
Actions means that's the stage of Jnana Yoga, where a person renounces actions for body. For body in the sense bodily enjoyment. That is sannyasa. But for a devotee, for a devotee, he doesn't have actions for his body. He does actions for pleasing Krishna. That way he has sannyasa consciousness.
so Prabhuji, in Nishkam Karma Yoga, he has the enjoyment for body, not for Krishna.
He has attachment, no, not enjoyment for body.
No, but he give up the results. Like he is not attached with the result. But whatever he is doing for their self, not for Krishna.
Not for Krishna. Until he gets association. Once he gets association, he will do it for Krishna. Yeah.
That is
becomes
Bhakti Yoga.
sadhana bhakti, Prabhuji. When he does it for Krishna, it becomes sadhana bhakti.
Correct.
So right now, that what we are doing is sadhana bhakti only.
Correct. That's what we are telling about. We are doing sadhana bhakti.
But without realizing God, why would anybody not be attached to result, Prabhu?
That's an important question. I will explain that a little later. How will he not get? Why will he want to renounce the result and still continue doing action? What is it that is driving him? It will come ahead. Okay, good question. I will take that ahead. I will not take it. Okay. Any other comment or question?
Then Prabhuji, from sadhana bhakti, Jnana Yoga is how it is different.
In Jnana Yoga, person is studying the Jnana Kanda part of the Shastras, that is Upanishads. Okay. And he is not acting in this world. He is not acting neither for his body nor for others' welfare. He is basically he is a renunciant, a traditional non-devotee renunciant.
Prabhuji, I would not like to comment, but I've generally seen people who follow Arya Samaj. They are mostly like Gyan yogis. They read a lot. They know a lot about Vedas and Upanishads, and they are not attached to the world. But they are not into devotional service either.
Correct. So in fact, they know the more if I act in this world, I will be bound. So I will not act. It's a very refined selfishness. Yes, that is true. That's their understanding. In fact, they're very focused on keeping their knowledge and realization conserved, and they have rigid practices. They are very socially conservative, many things like that.
So Prabhuji, in Gyan Yoga, they don't do the service for the Krishna. They are not in the Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
They just have the knowledge of the Shastra. They want to renounce from this world. That's it.
Yes. In fact, they more and more read, contemplate, speculate.
Yes.
That's their.
But they read Bhagavad-gita, they quote Krishna, but they would not accept Krishna as
The Lord.
Because they have not gotten association of devotees. They have not gotten sufficient sukriti to accept Krishna's supremacy or bhakti as a sadhana. That's not there. We'll see that. Jnana Yoga is a question in the next chapter that we will discuss there more.
So Prabhuji, in Nishkam Karma Yoga, if you get the association of the devotees, we will go to the Bhakti Yoga.
Yes. So the whole yoga ladder transforms into this.
Okay. And in Nishkam Karma Yoga, if we don't get the devotees association, then we are just learning the Shastra and we go to the Gyan Yoga path. Okay, Prabhuji, now it is clear.
Now it's clear? Yeah. So, we will keep coming to this. Do not worry so much because this is an important structure or framework for us for these chapters ahead. Yes, Mataji, yes.
Prabhuji, some they don't have knowledge. I mean, they don't read scriptures, they don't read any books.
Who?
Much knowledge in the scriptures, but directly they have Prema Bhakti on Krishna. What
You're
about
talking about which kind of people? Whom you are talking about?
They don't have much knowledge about scriptures. But
In
they have
Bhakti, Prabhuji,
It's like Brijvasis, if you say.
Okay. See, no, we are seeing only this life. We have not seen the whole growth of that consciousness, which takes lifetimes. It's not a yoga ladder which is of one life. It sometimes spans across multiple lifetimes. And don't be, Krishna says that famous verse in later chapters, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyante. Many lifetimes spending a person in knowledge, a true Jnana Yogi. What he will do? He will surrender to me. Just see how much it takes for one level to go to another level. It's not easy. It's a progress which spans many lifetimes. Only when a person gets association of devotees is this made faster and more effective. So we will refer back to this. So the Braja devotees, Braja Bhaktas, you are talking, Mataji, they have attained Prema Bhakti. They have in fact, there are verses which say they have done all this. They have developed that strong detachment and perfection, and they have attained Prema Bhakti like this. Okay? We may not see that very visibly in this life, but it's something which has come from many. And some of the devotees may be directly coming from spiritual world. So they may not necessarily need, because they are already in that pure consciousness.
what I'm asking.
Yeah. Some are directly from spiritual world, the associates of Lord in the past time, like Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj. Or some may be sadhakas, but have gone through this and attained Prema Bhakti from many lifetimes. And in this lifetime, they directly are in the lead. Okay. So let's go to shloka number 10, which starts describing from
Prabhuji, one more question. So we can say we are in a Jnana Yoga path?
No, we are in Nishkama, this part. Yeah,
we are still in Nishkam.
Yeah, we are very much in Nishkam. Nishkama is a very, in fact, I would say Nishkam Sakama actually. We have got an association, but we are in.
Enjoy our results.
So the adhikara for practicing bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti, is far greater. But because we have gotten association of devotees, especially in Acharya like Srila Prabhupada, we are following his instructions. So there is a great amount of purification which is happening. And we are also developing an attachment to Krishna. Some glimpses of attachment, when we see great souls, and when we get to hear from them, all that, there is a lot which is happening as mercy. Okay. So
tapasya is needed, right, Prabhuji, in this Nishkama Karma Yoga phase. It's not like once we get association, we reach the Bhakti Yoga. So
one has to take to it properly. One has to follow that. There is also an effort there. He has
Lot
to
of
do sadhana.
austerities have to be performed. And
But they are not called austerities. They are following one's guru's instructions. No? Austerity is actually called here jnana and ashtanga.
okay.
There are different types of austerity, you can say. Okay. Okay. So we will come to them.
Sorry to disturb you again. I have one basic question, Prabhuji. So,
Yeah.
for example, it is a general saying that someone, at least not just seeing the Jagannath Rath Yatra, just when you hear the sound of the wheels, then that gives one liberation.
Yeah. So that means what? Very good question. So there are a lot of promises like that in Shastra. In fact, if you feel like, oh, is that so easy? Yes. See how it is to be seen. Our acharyas themselves explain this. So there is a great spiritual merit which is called sukriti, which a person gains when he comes across different elements of devotions. So it could be observing a festival, he could unconsciously did some service. He heard some kirtana of the Lord, he appreciated some beauty of the Lord, or something he did unconsciously. Like sometimes you hear that fish which came and took some Mahaprasad remnants of Ramanuja, it attained, they are very special kripa actually. So there are some special kripas like that. And another instances is they are given a lot of facilities for taking spiritual, but still the free will of the jiva is there, whether he will take to that spiritual facilities or not. He will be given such a wonderful facility where one will be very inspired to take to devotions. But Krishna will never force bhakti on a jiva. So what is the merit or great blessing of which is described in those short shastras? Is that he came in touch with the bhakta or some bhakti kriyas, or some Mahaprasad like this, or Jagannath's darshan on the Ratha, So he is assured of a very great perfection, provided he will take to the path which so wonderfully is arranged for him. That's how the blessings are to be seen. It cannot be forced.
My Siksha Guru told, touch Bhagavad-Gita, you will be liberated. Then open Bhagavad-Gita, you will be liberated.
Yes.
Then Bhagavatam, every time the process will be deepened. So I'm just confused.
Hey, one thing is that unless we develop love to Krishna, we will not go back to spiritual. We have to develop love to Krishna. But how will that be achieved? When we come in touch with devotees, then there is a great spiritual merit we get. And there is such a natural attraction can awaken when we just attentively receive that facilities, that opportunities, and we render some service. So what effort we do and what result we get can never be equated. That's why it's called causeless. Bhakti cannot be caused by any of our efforts. So what little we do, it is so little that it is practically insignificant. But the result which we receive by that little act of devotion, little effort we do, is something which we cannot even imagine. That's why it's causeless. But the effort from jiva has to be there, that Krishna respects very much. So that's what a blessing does.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, like that. Good question. Yeah, often we think, oh, is it that without even any of my effort, I will be going to spiritual world just by taking some Mahaprasad, or some darshana or some, unconscious thing we do. Not necessarily, it's not to be seen like that. So jiva has to consciously, desire to go. And how that happens, it's very natural. That is very natural. It's such a wonderful goal, Krishna consciousness, wonderful facility. The Lord is so loving. Why cannot we fall in love with him? Why is it that we don't want to serve him? It's that becomes a foolish act to do, that when we don't do it. In that sense, it's so natural, in that sense. Okay? Okay.
Prabhuji, can you share this presentation, Prabhuji, for us?
And last session I did tell Mataji, I will give them because I'm revising. I told you something I revised. I'll give all of this at the end, not at the
Okay.
I'll give all of this. Don't worry. So now Krishna starts explaining Karma Kanta. Earlier in 9th shloka, he told Nishkama Karma Yoga, this part. Perform your prescribed duty, but have no attachment. But someone may say, Are, this is too high a stage for me. Okay, let's go to the first step. And he starts describing from Karma Kanta. Just see how wonderful a teacher is. This Krishna is such a wonderful teacher of this wonderful knowledge, spiritual knowledge. So text 10, from text 10 to 16 is Karma Kanta. Okay. When you have to describe about Karma Kanda, where it comes in Bhagavadgita, this is the section. Sahayagya praja srishtva
Hayagna praja srishtva
purovacha prajapati
vacha prajapatihi
anena prasai vishwadhvam
anena prasavishvam
eshavostvishta kamadhuk. So Krishna is saying, hey Arjuna, understand that for even material necessities, this spiritual path is necessary. And that spiritual path starts with Karma Kanda. So he introduces a concept called Yajna, which has started actually in the 9th shloka itself. He said about this Yajna. So in the very beginning means after the devastation, when the creation is happening, Lord, he had deputed people called Prajapatis, who actually expand the progeny, Praja. Actual original Prajapati is Krishna. So when the Praja means the Jivas, this doesn't mean only humans, any Jiva, Praja. So when the Praja are created means here only body is created, soul is eternal. Bodies are given to the conditioned souls. So that time there was also this principle called Yajna, and Krishna gave this. The Lord gave this. These Prajapatis, the original Prajapati is Lord Vishnu himself, and there are many others who are assistants to Lord, like Devatas. So they all gave this facility of Yajna, and by practice of Yajna, the Praja, the Jivas, they can fulfill their Ishta, their desires, and the desires are granted by the Devatas. Read the translation. Who's reading? Please read.
Yes, Prabhuji. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent 4th generation of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, Be thou happy by this yajna, sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation.
There are two results of yajna, or two purposes for yajna. One is living happily in this world, and second is achieving liberation, that is going beyond this world. So yajna ultimately has this purpose. Immediately it fulfills this purpose. So Prabhupada says in the purport, this material creation, the ultimate purpose for which this world is created, is to facilitate the jivas to actually go back to their home, back to Godhead. So, but till the time they go, till the time they are in this world, they have their needs. How to fulfill those needs? That is helped by Vedas themselves. So these Vedas, they are having multiple purposes. The important ultimate purpose is to take jivas back home, back to God. And the other purposes, the subsidiary purposes, are to how to help the jiva live a very religious, sin-free or less sin way of living in this world, a happy living in this world. So Prabhupada quotes a shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam, which says that actual Prajapati is Lord Vishnu himself. In Srimad Bhagavatam, this shloka comes, very famous shloka, which has many words, pati, 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 like this. Shriya patir, yajnapati, prajapatir, dhyam patir, lokapatir, dharapati, patir gatischandhaka vrishni satvatam, prasidata me bhagavan satam pati. Pati means a superior person, a maintainer, a pati. A husband is also called pati, is it not? So, Shriya Pati is a Lakshmi Pati, Shriya Pati. Yajnapati, he is the maintainer. In fact, he is the goal of the yajnas. Prajapati, he is the leader of all the jivas. He is the one progenitor of the jivas. So, in that sense, the Lord himself is the ultimate person, entity in this whole creation. So understanding that, one should actually work for pleasing him. And that work for pleasing him, it will in fact enable the jiva how to live in this world and also go back to him. So both purposes are served. Can you read this highlighted part? Lord?
Yes, Prabhu. The Lord created this material world to enable the conditioned souls to learn how to perform yajnas, sacrifices, for the satisfaction of Vishnu, so that while in the material world they can live very comfortably without anxiety, and after finishing the present material body, they can enter into the kingdom of God.
See, when we hear this word yajna, the immediate picture that comes to our mind is there is a big, some yajna kunda, some people who are sitting and pouring ghee into it, chanting some mantras. Actually, yajna is a sacred principle. It brings sacredness. It purifies the offerings. When we live in this world, we have to purify ourselves. And one of the important principles of purification is sacrifice. So sacrifice makes one sacred. So that's why even in Christianity they have sacrament. These words are used actually. Sacrifice, sacrificial altar they call, something like that. So sacrifice means, or yajna means, you offer something for a superior being. While doing so, you give away something. You sometimes take up some inconvenience for yourself to please a superior being. Ultimately, Supreme Lord. And that superior being blesses. That's sacrifice. Yajna. And that elevates a person from immediate selfishness. I am the Lord, I am the center, I only can do everything. That consciousness to, oh, there is a superior person. I have to accept his superiority. Then my needs, my desires are fulfilled. So it's a step up in consciousness. So Prabhupada explains this yajna has many varieties. In fact, the 4th chapter describes many types of yajna. What we understand usually as that in which fire is there, ghee is put, is one type of yajna called dravya yajna. There is jnana yajna, tapo yajna, swadhyaya yajna, many type of yajnas, samyama yajna, many like that. So Prabhupada tells among all the yajnas, the greatest yajna which Krishna himself says is Sankirtana yajna. And you will see whenever discussion of yajna comes, Prabhupada never fails to glorify Sankirtana yajna. Why? Because all the other yajnas, they require some good conditions to perform. There has to be pure ingredients. There have to be pure consciousness people. At least to some extent, they should be pure in their thoughts, lifestyle, all that, who are priests actually. And there should be proper performance of those rituals. People should know those rituals properly, all that. So these things which become very rare in Kali Yuga, but this one yajna which is very powerful, which doesn't require much material conditions, that is Sankirtana yajna. Yajnai Sankirtana prayair yajanti sumedhasa. The most intelligent people will take to the Sankirtana yajna. Srimad Bhagavatam says this. And by Sankirtana yajna, the chief deity of Sankirtana yajna is, who is that?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sankirtana, he is the founder of Sankirtan movement, is it not? The Prabhupada called Chaitanya and Nityananda are the fathers of Sankirtan. So they are the most merciful. In fact, this age one can glorify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by practicing Sankirtana Yajna. See this verse Prabhupada quotes. So this is the ultimate principle, and Prabhupada gives, as we have always seen, he gives the conclusion, the most effective action to do in every purport, so that Jiva doesn't lose out on most important conclusions of Shastra or Bhagavad. So that way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement is very easy and very sublime. It gives great advancement. So this was Karma Kanda introduction about how this yajna fulfills two purposes. What are the two purposes which this yajna fulfills or Karma Kanda fulfills?
Living happily and getting liberated.
Both these are fulfilled. So then how is that done? Now explained from ahead. Devan bhavayatanena.
Devan
bhavatayate.
Te deva bhavayantuva.
Te
deva bhavayantu.
Parasparam bhavayanta.
Parasparam bhavayanta.
Shreya paramavapsyata.
Shreya paramavapsyata.
So there are devas. Devas means devatas. In English, Prabhupada used this word demigod. Sometimes people get bewildered. What is this? Demigod. It was a new word for me until I started reading Prabhupada's book. So
People get upset also, Prabhu.
Yeah, they get upset. You call
my sister gets very upset. It's like, how can you call somebody demigod? Half God.
It's as if you push their position way down. Yeah, it's a famous objection. True. So sometimes there is a blame on Hinduism or Vedic culture in general as polytheistic. Polytheistic. There are famous religions of this world, which are Islam and Christianity. They say one God, one path. And if you don't do this, then there is one standard destination for you. But Vedic culture, very surprisingly, has so many worshipable personalities, devatas. But actually, there are some religions which, when they say polytheism, that means you can worship anyone and you live anyway. No, that's not the case in Vedic culture. It is conclusively monotheistic. Those who study it, they will say, understand that there is a hierarchy or a broader entry points. But as one understands, it is conclusively going to that one supreme being, entity. Which at the end of yajna, in any type of yajna, they say this. Krishna arpanamastu, purnamadaha, purnamidam. All this actually say that this is that one supreme person who actually is all powerful, who all the devatas obey and follow. So he is that capital G God, and all others are small g gods. God and gods, they say it. So sometimes to differentiate, Prabhupada used demi-God. That's the word. If the one is not so comfortable with that word, use the actual terms. That's okay. Is that okay, Mataji? But the principle should be
Devatas is correct, no, Prabhu? Same as
Devatas is
Devatas.
there. Yeah, it's the same. There is nothing. Demigod word is also there by Bhakti Siddhanta. That is that word which is used. But usually people think everyone is supreme. Devi is supreme, Ganesha is supreme, everyone is supreme. Then they may feel hurt. But what is there in the Shastras is the truth. Okay, if they may not have that Sukriti to accept the supremacy of that one supreme Lord, okay, you continue following your dharma. Today we'll see that, how person in knowledge should behave with person who doesn't have higher knowledge. Krishna says. Okay, let's take it ahead. We have a lot to do. Devan bhavayatanena. So when the jivas perform yajna, what are they doing? They're actually pleasing the devatas. So the devatas are, like Prabhupada will explain, that they are empowered administrators of this world. There is one Supreme Lord, Krishna, and all these are administrators appointed by Krishna. And they have different portfolios, if we can use that word. So when the jivas, when they don't understand that there is Supreme Lord, they don't have that sukruti, or they don't have that knowledge, they worship devatas who are immediately providing them. And by how do they please them? By performance of yajna. And by pleased by those jivas, these devatas bestow what is due for them. They also follow some law, the law of karma. And they give all material necessities. Like here, someone is giving moonlight, someone is giving rain, someone is giving sun, someone is giving air or wind, someone is giving wealth. And with this, the jivas lead a very prosperous, sin-free or less sin life, in that sense. So Prabhupada explains that in the purport. Devan bhavayatanena. By pleasing devatas, te deva bhavayantuva. Those devatas please the jivas back by providing, shreya or samriddhi. They supply all the material needs. So there is parasparam bhavayanta. There is a cooperation, cooperation between jivas and devatas. So they both are getting benefited. Please know that devatas are not supreme. They are appointed agents of the Lord. So that's how Prabhupada explains. Read the translation. The demigods.
The demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you. And thus, by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign through all.
Read the highlighted part.
The demigods are empowered administrators of material affairs. The supply of air, light, water, and all other benedictions for maintaining the body and soul of every living entity is entrusted to the demigods, who are innumerable assistants in different parts of the body of the Supreme Personality of God.
So devatas, this is an important concept which comes ahead in 7th chapter, 9th chapter. Krishna speaks about devatas many places. So when the jiva understands, I am not the supreme, there are some other supreme, then he first sees devatas. Then one who develops that consciousness, then he sees someone above. So these devatas are seen as administrators. They are seen as different parts of the supreme body, Supreme Lord's spiritual form. So these both understandings are there. So knowing their position, one should respect them appropriately. See, as soon as we understand demigods are not the supreme, we should never disrespect them. This is what actually hurts the people, others. Where by saying devatas doesn't mean we in any way disrespect them. In fact, a devotee respects the devatas in far deeper way. They all are devotees of the Lord. They all are carrying out the functions given by the Lord. All the devatas are actually devotees. Sura, Vishnu Bhakta Bhaved Daiva, Asurastad Viparyaya. Deva means Vishnu Bhakta. So that's why in all the yajnas which are meant to satisfy different devatas, there are different yajnas for different devatas' pleasure. Different. But in all of them, you please note this, those who have undergone these yajnas, in some way, at least I had some experience. The first method of purification, that is the achmana, is always Krishna mantra. Keshvaya Nama, Narayanaya Nama, Madhavaya Nama, Govindaya. The priest tells you to do. And there are certain mantras in the middle. He will also speak one famous Vedic sukta called Purusha Sukta, which is actually glorifying the 1,000-armed form of the Lord. That's a form of the Lord, Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha. Like that. At the end of the yajna, in any devatas, I'm telling, be it Naga yajna, this Narayana Bali, this, Varuna, in many, whatever types of it. At the end, when it approaching, he will always say, Kayena vacha manasendriya irva buddhyatmanava anusratas. There is this famous verse, Narayanayeti How does it end? Samarpayetat. Let everything be offered to Narayana. And they will chant that Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam, that verse you have all learned in Eshopisha. And at the end, they will say, Krishna Arpanamastu. What does this show? Though the Devata is superior for getting that particular need, there is someone above. So, Prabhupada will highlight this whenever this aspect of Devata worship comes. He will say this. And some of the yajnas, can you read this, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Some of the yajnas are meant to satisfy particular demigods. But even in doing so, Lord Vishnu is worshipped in all yajnas as the chief beneficiary.
So in all the yajnas, Vishnu is worshipped. In all the yajnas. People may not understand it. They are chanting the mantras. They may not appreciate that position. But it is there. If you are observant, you can notice that. So in that sense, the ultimate, the action which devotee performs is already pleasing them. One need not feel, oh, I did not do that yajna. I did not do that puja for this devata. Maybe I will lose something. Maybe I will get something because I didn't please that devata. If you are pleasing Supreme Lord, you are actually getting the highest protection and blessings. So when one does yajna, some of the immediate results which one gets, here Prabhupada says, is there is no scarcity in supply of natural products. Be it rain, be it ample amount of food grains, good sunlight, water, all this. Natural products. In fact, they are the ones which are most necessary. Is it not, for living? We cannot eat or live without these natural products. We need them. We badly need them. So that is provided only by these devatas. We cannot produce them. We cannot produce food grains. We cannot make rains happen, though there could be some cloud seeding and all, but it's all unpredictable, is it not? So for these natural products, one is helplessly dependent on nature. He doesn't know who is behind nature, who is behind that person, who is behind nature, all that. So by performance of yajna, there is no scarcity in supply of natural products. Then his activities are purified. I already talked about this earlier. He becomes sacred. Any activity we perform, we are going to start. When we do this principle of yajna, then that activity becomes purified. It becomes sacred. It becomes protected. Ultimate goal is it takes one to liberation. Or, material bondage is freed. So Prabhupada explains an example of taking from one shloka. Can you read this? The performance of yajna. Can you read this? How yajna purifies so many things in one's life. Read this highlighted part, Mataji.
By performance of yajna, one's eatables become sanctified. And by eating sanctified foodstuffs, one's very existence becomes purified. By the purification of existence, finer tissues in the memory become sanctified. And when memory is sanctified, one can think of the path of liberation. And all these combined together lead to Krishna consciousness, the great necessity of present day society.
So when ahara becomes shuddhi by performing yajna, and when ahara, the food one eats, is pure, then accordingly one's smriti, one's sattva, it becomes pure. Then there are proper thoughts, and then one's inclination to actually go beyond this material world is nourished. Sarva granthina vipramoksha. It's a very famous verse in Upanishad. Ahara shuddhau sattva shuddhi, sattva shuddhau dhruvasvati. So yajna, it actually does shuddhi. It purifies or sanctifies. In fact, we all do that offering of our bhoga to the Lord. It's actually a sacrifice. It's actually a yajna. It's purifying that bhoga. So Krishna continues. Ishtan bhogan hi vo deva.
Ishtan bhogan
Dasyante yajna bhavita. Chairdattan apradayebhyo.
दैवदत्तप्राप्तेभ्यो
यो भुङ्क्ते स्तेन एव स.
यो भुङ्क्ते
तेन एव सः.
So when a jiva is receiving so much of benefits from devatas, but he forgets to acknowledge them, their gifts, he doesn't respect, or he doesn't offer that worship to devatas, if not Krishna, at least the devatas, then he is actually very ungrateful. Imagine someone enters into your house and takes away a thing without taking your permission, and he goes out. What do we call them? We call them thieves.
Thieves.
Is it not? So we are getting so much from devatas. Nothing is ours, and we are using their, what is given by them without even acknowledging them. Can I take this for this purpose? At least we know that it belongs to them, and I'm taking for this purpose. At least that much. So then that a person is called stena. Apradayebhyo yo bhunkte stena. Stena means, you see the word meaning, it is thief. Once Srila Prabhupada was approached by a famous merchant. You may know this pastime, very famous. This merchant was a very famous glass merchant. And he is a pious man. And Prabhupada asked him, so what do you do? Agarwal kind of a person, a merchant. So what do you do, Agarwalji? So he told me, I have glass factories. Oh, glass factories. How do you make glass? We do it by using sand, silica. Oh, where do you get silica sand from? Do you produce it? It's available in nature. We take it and we make it and we sell it and we make profits and we enjoy. So Prabhupada told, so you are a thief. You are a chore. Why, Prabhupada, Swamiji, why are you saying like that? I'm not a chore. No, you are taking things from nature and you are making money. And you're enjoying yourself. So you're a thief, right? A thief takes others' property and he tries to enjoy, right? So you're a thief chore. No, Swamiji, I go to temples, I give some dakshina. Okay, you are a chota thief. You are hira chore, not hira chore. Prabhupada used these words. You're not a hira. Hira means a jewel thief. But you are a kira. Kira means cucumber. You're a small chore. But nonetheless, you are a chore because you are taking things from others. It actually belongs to devatas. So when one is having this consciousness of enjoying without offering one's gratitude to devatas or ultimately to the Supreme Lord, he is having a thief mentality. And a thief, you see, is always restless. He's always in anxiety. He's always fearful. And when many thieves come together, they are always doubting on other, quarrels. There is no trust. There is no happiness. Prabhupada says a society of thieves cannot be happy and peaceful. And that's what we see the whole world has, is it not? So Prabhupada gives a very nice purport to this. Can someone, other devotee, take up reading here?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can read.
Read the translation.
In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief.
Read the highlighted part, the demigods.
Yes. The demigods are authorized supplying agents on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu.
So Prabhupada describes about, so there are different devatas and there are different yajnas. For one who does not, from here you read this.
For one who cannot understand what the personality of Godhead is, sacrifice to the demigods is recommended. According to the different material qualities of the person concerned, different type of yajnas are recommended in the Vedas. Worship of different demigods is also on the same basis, namely according to different qualities.
So there are different devatas worshipped by different methods, so different purposes. Suppose one wants to eat meat. Usually people worship some devi I've seen that in my villages. You also might have experienced that, especially Kali, Durga. So there are some specific methods. So suppose one wants a lot of money, some wants a child, someone wants good health, many like this. Someone wants to win over enemies, many purposes, and different devatas, different pujas are recommended. Ultimately, all yajnas are actually worship of Vishnu, and they are meant for promoting oneself to transcendental position. Traditionally, there were some 5 yajnas which everyone had to perform. Deva yajna, like that. There are many names in Srimad Bhagavatam. That's a detail of it. But in general, yajnas are something which are integral part of Vedic lifestyle. So one should know the important thing is here. Prabhupada says, can you read this? One should know.
Yes, one should know, however, that all the necessities of life that the human society requires are supplied by the demigods, agents of the Lord. No one can manufacture anything.
So the point is, even if a person has desires, he should fulfill them very religiously, in a very proper manner, in a legal manner, if we can use that word. So when one follows Vedas, he can fulfill his desires in a legitimate way, in a proper way. Otherwise, he is like acting as a thief. He's fulfilling desires, not following the law of the state. Then he will be considered as a criminal, is it not? Even for the state, there are state laws. Similarly, for this universal government or the universe itself, there are laws. So all the things which we use in our life, be it moonlight, sunlight, food, all this, which are very important, they are given by Supreme Lord. And we can never claim that we can produce them. Prabhupada would challenge, can you produce even 1 grain of food in laboratories? No. We can only use things from nature and try to alter that for our needs, but we can never produce on our own. So even the essential metals, all these base elements, they are all supplied by the agents of Lord. So knowing this, one should cultivate gratitude. I am living by the gifts of the Lord. This is the first consciousness. Karma Kanda consciousness actually is to, everything is provided by God. I am utilizing His gifts. He has that gratitude. So if one forgets that, what happens? Read this. If we forget.
If we forget the purpose of human life and simply take supplies from the agents of the Lord for sense gratification and become more and more entangled in material existence, which is not the purpose of creation, certainly we become thieves, and therefore we are punished by the laws of material nature. A society of thieves can never be happy because they have no aim in life. The gross materialistic thieves have no ultimate goal of life.
So, very famous statement, Prabhupada. A society of thieves can never be happy. One may try to put some morality upon thieves, but that's ultimately the basic principle is one is stealing the gifts of a higher personality, Devata or the Supreme Lord Krishna. So that way, one will be, sad or having distress because he is having the mentality of a thief. So Prabhupada also highlights Sankirtana Yajna is most easy, at least, it's most effective. And for this age, it is prescribed method. So take to it. In these purports, you will see Prabhupada highlighting Sankirtana Yajna at the end many times. Going ahead, what lays, for a person who performs Yajna as benefit is told here. Yajna Shishta Shrina Santo Muchyante Sarva Kilvishayi Punjate Te Tvagham Papa Ye Pachantyatma Karanat. So, Yajna Shishta, a remnant of a Yajna, that one should accept. When one should offer whatever he has or he wants to enjoy first to the Supreme Lord. And then it's called a remnant or Shishta. then that yajna shishta, which is called prasada, should be accepted, and one will not be entangled by it. Muchyante sarva kilbishai. Otherwise, if one doesn't offer Supreme Lord whatever one wants to enjoy, then he will only get papa if he's doing it for atma karana, for sense gratification. Read this translation.
The devotees of the Lord are released from all kind of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment barely eat only sin.
So Prabhupada highlights here actually the aspect of food is coming. It's going to come ahead more. So starting from food, everything we want to enjoy in life, first we should offer to Krishna. We offer to Supreme Lord. Then it is released from all kinds of sins. Otherwise, we eat only sin. Means what? We only get a reaction for every grain or everything we enjoy, not in connection with Supreme Lord. That's what it says. Sin means you can equate it to suffering. So Prabhupada says there is this word. The word came santaha. Yajna Shishtashrinah Santaha. Santa means Santa. Santa means a saint. The word saint in English comes from Santa. So the Santa means a devotee. They have a very deep relationship with the Supreme Lord. And their feeling is, I cannot accept anything without first offering to my Ishtadeva, that is Supreme Lord Krishna. So they very naturally want to remember Krishna. Yeah. Krishna, you take this first. When a mother loves the child, or whatever wonderful thing she gets in house, and she thinks about child, I think I can offer this to my child. I can use it for this purpose for my child, right? So like that, the santas, the devotees, they are so much in love. It's called a compact of love. They are so thick relationship of love. So that's why they have naturally want to offer anything they get first to the Supreme Lord. Others who just use it for themselves. And these are the two extremes. One is Santa, who naturally offers everything first to the Supreme Lord. Another is a person who is so much in sense gratification. He just uses it everything for himself. These are the two extremes of the spectrum. So a person who is in sense gratification doesn't offer to Krishna. How can he be peaceful when he's a thief and he's a sin? In the earlier shloka, there was thief mentioned. Here it is told sinful. When a person accepts things or enjoyments without acknowledging or offering to the Supreme, he is thief and he is sinful. And Prabhupada says, how can a person be happy if he is both sinful and happy? It's not possible. So one should accept this principle of yajna. For us, this age, it is Sankirtana Yajna. So one should learn how to do it. Text 14 onwards, it says how Yajna will fulfill one's material needs, right to the extent of food, starting from food. So from here comes a cycle of Yajna, which is very interesting. Any of you have any comments so far? Are we all going good? Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji?
Yeah.
There are a lot of formalities as a devotee also we have to do, right? Like maybe like Shraddha ceremony and all those things,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Can we consider this as a yajna and a sacrifice to Krishna?
So there is one purport which is coming. There is something called obligations of Vedic injunctions in shloka number 17. I'll explain that. At 17, Prabhupada is describing that. We will come to that and explain. Yes, there are some obligations being especially in a householder life. It is there. How do we, as devotees, see it? How do we follow it or not follow it? What is that? Let's see that. Any other comment or question?
After starting the deity worship, Prabhuji, there is no time to, The time is passing very quickly. The day is passing very quickly in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. So what is with respect to deity worship you are saying? I could not get it.
I mean, daily doing abhisheka to.
Okay. So when we do, then there are we don't get much time for other.
Offering boga.
Actually, that the purpose of that deity worship activity is to actually fulfill our day in spiritual consciousness. Okay.
Yes.
So as practitioners, especially if we have pressing professional engagements, family needs or engagements, then we should that's why these activities should always be done under guidance. There is no end to what detail you can follow them. Okay. It depends on how much you can do or how much you will be able to balance with your other responsibility. Okay, so that's why it should always be under guidance. So how much can I keep deities or laminations? How many bhogas I can offer? How many artis I can? You're getting these details. These always have to be worked out under guidance. That's the point.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, yes.
Prabhuji, I have one doubt. While offering prasadam to Krishna, we follow we should offer with tulasi, right?
Yes.
So here in the sloka translation in 13th sloka, Prabhuji.
Correct.
Because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice, right? Correct. I've known a few people from Swadhyay Prabhuji, some Dadaji Guru. So they recite this sloka like Eknashishta Sinashantu and another sloka also like Yetkaroshi Yadannashi Yachiv and another sloka also. We believe that without Tulasi prasadam cannot be offered. So in that case, their intention is they're offering first food to the god and reciting this sloka. So is that equal, Prabhuji?
So they don't offer tulasi over?
Prabhuji?
So what is the reference of tulasi? Those people don't offer tulasi, or is it like that?
Yes, Prabhu. Just before eating, they recite some slokas from Bhagavadgita and they take food, Prabhuji.
Actually, it's told in, especially in Vishnu Naivedya, tulasi is it's like non-compromisable, non-negotiable kind of thing. Usually, people they chant when these mantras, their understanding may not be that they are considering Lord Krishna as supreme. They may be understanding some Brahman, Parabrahma, or sometimes I've seen even Shaivites also worship, take food chanting these mantras. There are many, but the principle that, okay, I offer my respect to Devata from whose gift I have gotten this food grain. The next sloka is about food. Anna, Dhavan, Pidushan. So they offer their gratitude, at least that consciousness. But for Vishnu Bhaktas, especially devotees following Srila Prabhupada, we offer it first for pleasing the Lord. Understanding that first Lord should eat it. It's not just a gratitude of before accepting. It is something we offer positively to Lord. Lord, you enjoy this food first. It's a much higher consciousness. And Lord loves Tulasi. He has told Patram Pushpam. There are many shlokas in Bhagavatam where he says Tulasi. So what he loves, that's what we give him. He has told so for his pleasure.
Yeah, Prabhuji, we by the mercy of Prabhupada, and we got to know that there is some procedure to offer to God. Correct. But there are other people who are not aware of Prabhupada and all this. Correct. Whatever some other person told, they used to believe, right, Prabhuji? Correct. So if they don't offer with respect to Krishna and they are eating, means they'll be.
See, there is a progress in their consciousness. We should never say that they are not making advancement, because they're acknowledging, is it not? See, it's far
their
better than
intention
just
is
eating.
to offer food to God, but they're not offering to Krishna.
So that's what they're understanding. Some devata, they are superior. They are giving us. So this is all actually meant at first to give us the quality of gratitude. Earlier also I was mentioning this, that we are grateful to the gifts of the devatas who are actually agents of that Supreme. So that is very, very important. In fact, in Vedic culture, you will always see before eating food, one always does pranayama, he does offers mantras, naivedyam, he offers that gratitude. So they are making benefit, they are making progress in their consciousness. We cannot say that they are not making progress. But in devotional service sense, it is not much. So a devotee who is offering first to Krishna and then eating, he is making far higher progress. Okay.
Prabhuji, and one more thing in previous purport also, like regarding meat eaters, like no, meat eaters can sacrifice animals to goddess Kali.
Kali.
Like why, Prabhuji, like why scriptures allowed that, like every living being is equal?
Yes.
Means why that process is allowed? Because we cannot tell. I used to, when I go to my hometown, I used to see that they eating is different, and in the name of God, killing some living being is not good. Why it is allowed to
This
Goddess
is a different
Kali?
level of worship where a person who has a certain desire is worshipping a certain devata, and to fulfill his desires and to stop him from falling into sin, those desires are kind of sanctioned. These devatas actually are doing a thankless task, that they are sanctioning that otherwise sinful desire, and they are giving.
Actually,
that's actually, in one sense, they are protecting that worshipper from falling to sin. Otherwise, he would have eaten without acknowledging supremacy of the Lord, actually. So in that sense, they are acknowledging it, and when they are following it, they have strict rules to follow: when they should eat, when they should not eat, what kind of animal they eat. So these are all regulations, and by understanding the ultimate purpose of this regulation is you progress from that step to ahead.
It means, like, if they are not following the rules of sacrificing animal, means it is not equal to yagna, like proper sacrifice, right, Prabhuji?
Yeah. So one thing is a person who eats animals without caring for any regulation. Higher than him is someone who accepts some regulations from Shastra. He follows some worship to certain devata, and then he accepts that particular food, non-vegetarian food. He's far superior in that sense. So slowly, he is expected to rise above. He sees that, oh yeah, this is something like a what do you call it? Exception. Yeah. It's like I am given some lenience, or I am accommodated, but this itself is not the main instruction of the Shastra. I have to rise from here to seeing every jiva as the child of Lord. That's a higher understanding. That is explained, surely. Okay. Thank you. So let's go ahead. Okay, a lot of practical questions come in these sections. Karma Yoga is very practical in that sense. So surely we will have discussions as and as time permits. So Krishna now explains about how performance of yajna fulfills one's material needs. Annad bhavanti bhutani.
Annad bhavanti bhutani.
Parjanyat anna sambhava.
Parjanyat anna sambhava.
Yajnat bhavati parjanyo.
Yajnat bhavati parjanyo.
Yajna karma samudbhava. So anna, the food, from food, actually bhutas, that is jivas, are nourished. And how does anna come? Because of rains. Parjanya, from parjanya, that is rains, the food grains grow. And how does the rains come? Here comes a very important trick. The rains happen because there is yajna. And how are yajnas performed? Yajnas are performed based on one's prescribed duties. There are different yajnas for different class of people. So that Krishna is explaining a cycle of yajna here. We will see that at the end of next shloka. Read this translation, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. All living bodies subsist on food grains. which are produced from rain. Rain are produced by performance, the yagna, sacrifices, and yagna is born to prescribe duties. Born of.
So Prabhupada here explains about this aspect of how you see here. Prabhupada says, can you read this? The Supreme Lord who is Yajna Purusha.
Yes, Prabhuji. The Supreme Lord who is known as the Yagna Purusha or the personal beneficiary of all sacrifices is the master of all the demigods who serve him as the different limbs of the body serve the whole. Demigods like Indra, Chandra and Varun are appointed officers who manage material affairs, and the Vedas direct sacrifice to satisfy these demigods so that they may be pleased to supply air, light and water sufficiently to produce food grains. When Lord Krishna worshipped, the demigods, who are different limbs of the Lord, are also automatically worshipped. Therefore, there is no separate need to worship the demigods.
So Prabhupada is highlighting the position of devatas, and when one worships Lord Krishna, who is actually the master of all the devatas, then there is no separate need to worship the devatas. See, we have to carefully understand this. There is no need, because one is actually serving the root of the entire existence, that is Supreme Lord Krishna. There is no need to serve the individual parts of that tree, like branches, leaves. You don't need to water, you water the root of the tree, then all the tree's parts are getting nourished. So there is no need, this first point. Second, does this mean that one doesn't acknowledge the presence of devatas or doesn't respect them? No, one respects them as devotees. One respects them as order carriers of Lord Vishnu. One offers respect. Like you say, suppose, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to temples of Lord Shiva. What was the mood? He in fact would dance in Sankirtan in front of Lord Shiva's deity. You know, he went to Kanchipuram, he went to Sri Shaila, he went to Sri Shaila comes near Hyderabad, right? Yeah. And many Shiva temples actually, Kalahasti, near Tirupati. Madurai, he went to Madurai. I'm telling Devatas temples here. Kanyakumari, he went to there. Many places like this, which are all Devatas temples. And what did he do? He did Sankirtan, and he was ecstatic being in the presence of a great devotee of Lord. You know, he is showing us the conduct. So one should offer Vaishnava Pranama to these Devatas. In fact, they are pleased with the devotee more than their own worshipper. They are so happy. Wow, here is the true devotee of Lord who has come. I'm so happy. There are so many stories on this actually. So there is no need to worship the Devatas, and the devotee worships or respects the Devatas as devotee, not as supreme. This understanding should be very clear. When there is this understanding, there could be some social situation in which a devotee may have to worship Devatas. Say in a yajna, like in Bhagavatam, it is told a great king, a devotee king like Bharata Maharaja. He worshipped the Devatas, but his understanding of worship of Devatas was, these Devatas are limbs of the Lord. I'm offering worship to the Supreme Lord's body. When I'm worshipping this Devata, I'm offering worship to this hand of the Supreme Lord. And when I'm worshipping this Devata, I'm worshipping the belly of the Supreme. He was thinking like this. And this is appreciated, in fact, glorified. Like this one should worship. There could be some social reasons also. Usually for common people to follow who don't have any, they are just looking at the behavior of some leaders of the society. Okay, oh yeah, Devata worship should be done because that leader is doing it. So for them, they have to follow, they follow it. If someone is qualified to follow Krishna worship, surely he should be guided in Krishna worship. But in general, the common people need to be told about following Vedic injunctions. So that's why that could be. Sometimes in a family, there could be some family members who doesn't respect Krishna much. So for some family reasons of other family members to keep them satisfied so that there could be no disturbance in one's practice of devotional service, one may worship Devatas. There is no harm. See them as devotees. Sometimes you may even see in the altar of the Lord. But know very clearly the supremacy of Lord Krishna and offer him the highest worship. Never misunderstand the position of devatas. Never misunderstand them to be the supreme. That is very, very important. Okay, so there is no need to worship the devatas for a worshipper of Lord Krishna. That's the principle here. Now, what happens when one accepts the prasada of the Lord? That is explained here. Can you read this? When there is an epidemic disease.
Yes, Prabhuji. When there is an epidemic disease, an antiseptic vaccine protects a person from the attack of such epidemic. Similarly, food offered to Lord Vishnu and then taken by us makes us sufficiently resistant of material affection. And one who is accustomed to this practice is called a devotee of the Lord.
Devotee of the Lord. See, a devotee is one who is accustomed to offering to the Lord everything he gets. So Prabhupada again says ahead, the material world is full of contaminations. And when one accepts prasada of the Lord, it could be edible, it could be any item also. We just offer to Lord in the beginning and then accept it for usage. So then one is saved from such infections or contaminations. That's why Srila Prabhupada, from the very beginning of establishing this ISKCON, he showed this practice he himself did when there was nothing to offer practically. He offered few apple pieces, in the very beginning, the matchless gift shop, which was a storefront. Prabhupada would get some apple pieces, he would cut them in front of everyone, and they would observe it. What is this? Swamiji is offering a sacrament, they would say it, because they were all Christians by upbringing. They would see he's ringing the bell and keeping in front of Lord's deity, and then he's distributing that. One piece he was distributing. He did not had anything, but still he was showing this principle, very important principle. That's why, as practicing devotees, we should offer every meal of ours to Lord and accept it as prasada. As much as possible. In fact, one is accustomed to this practice of taking only prasad. That's devotee. Prabhupada says that extent. So one should very sincerely follow this principle. Prabhupada also says we are all dependent on farm produce, not factory produce. We cannot eat nuts and bolts. We ultimately have to eat food grains. And where do they come from? They come because of rains. And how do rains come? Ultimately, the Supreme Lord, is it not? So we are all dependent on Supreme Lord. By this shloka, Krishna is saying, oh Arjuna, you think you're going to the forest? Leaving this? There also you will need some food, right? Some fruit, some grains. How do those come? They come because of me. I am giving rains, so follow me. Follow my desire, follow my instruction here. I am telling you to fight. Why are you going there? Don't be a thief, don't be sinful by not offering your food grains or your activities. So ultimately, Prabhupada here also mentions about Sankirtana as the prescribed yajna or sacrifice for the sage. Continuing the chakra of yajna, you carefully observe this. Jivas, they depend on food grains. And food grains come from
Rain.
And rains come from
Yagna.
Very good. And yajnas are based on what? Prescribed duties. Very good. Now, in that same sequence, it goes ahead. Karma brahmodbhavam vidhi.
Karma
Brahmakshara samudbhavam. Tasmat sarvagatam brahma. Nityam yajne pratishthitam. So that prescribed duties, karma, it is born from akshara. Sorry, Brahma. So Brahma means here Shastra. Brahma, you see it, Vedas, Shastras. So the prescribed duties are based on Shastras. And where do Shastras come from? Akshara samudbhavam. They come from the Supreme Lord, who is called Akshara, undestroyable. And knowing this, you should understand in the yajna, there is Supreme Lord, there is transcendence always present. Read the translation.
Can I read?
Mataji, please continue.
Yeah, Mataji, read.
Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice.
So know that in the yajna, the ultimate entity, the Supreme Lord, is eternally situated. So yajnas are God-conscious activities, Krishna conscious activities. So Prabhupada says the yajna purusha, the word he uses. Read this highlighted part.
Yes, Prabhu. If we have to work for the satisfaction of the yajna purusha, Vishnu, then we must find out the direction of work in Brahman or the transcendental Veda. The Vedas are therefore codes of working directions.
So Vedas are nothing but guidelines for working in this world so as to please or satisfy yajna purusha Vishnu. So one should take help from Vedas. Read this. One should take always.
Therefore, one should always take direction from the Vedas to be saved from the reaction of work. As one has to work in ordinary life by the directions of the state, one similarly has to work under direction of the supreme state of the Lord.
Supreme. So just like the laws of state are there, similarly these are laws of the universe, that is Vedas describe them, one has to follow them very nicely. So Prabhupada says these Vedas actually came from Lord himself by his breathing, like we were talking about them in the introduction. It is told Asya Mahato Pita Bhutasya Nishvasitam. By his exhalation, all the Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama, Atharva, Angiras, all these Vedas came from his breathing. He can speak by breathing, just like he can, he can eat by seeing, we say, when we offer bhoga. Similarly, he can speak by breathing. So his senses are absolute. Anganyasya sakalendriya vrittimanti. So he spoke this knowledge by his breathing. So one should understand that these Vedas are code of actions, guidelines for actions given by God himself. Read this highlighted part. Always remember.
We should always remember that the conditioned souls in material nature are all eager for material enjoyment, but the Vedic directions are so made that one can satisfy one's perverted desires, then return to Godhead. Having finished his so-called enjoyment, it is a chance for the conditioned souls to attain liberation. Therefore, the conditioned souls must try to follow the process of yajna by becoming Krishna consciousness.
Even those who have not followed the Vedic injunctions may adopt the principles of Krishna consciousness, and that will take the place of performance of Vedic yajnas or karmas. So one should, the Vedas are so made that one's desire for material enjoyment is fulfilled, and also is given a chance for attaining liberation. But in this, very interestingly, suppose one is not able to go, he's not able to reverse the time machine or time clock, and he's not able to perform those Vedic karmas, which are yajnas. No problem. The ultimate activity of spiritual path, that is Krishna consciousness, which actually is the goal of Vedic activities, one should take to them. One should never miss out on them. They are the important activities. So Prabhupada says they take the place of this Vedic yajnas or karmas. So just revising this cycle, which is very important to know. See, all the jivas, embodied living beings, they subsist on food grains, anna. And this anna comes by rains. Yeah, rains depend on
Yajna.
Performance of yajna. And yajna is, how do we know yajna? How are yajnas decided? They are
by the prescribed duties, born by the
karma or prescribed duties. So there are yajnas for different prescribed duties. So once prescribed duties, who prescribes the duties? Prescribed duty means someone tells the prescription. So who prescribes?
Vedas.
Who prescribes the prescribed duties? That's the Shastra, Brahma or Vedas. And where do Vedas come from? Vedas come from Supreme Lord. So in this cycle, if you carefully see, what is established? is the jivas are dependent on Supreme Lord. This is the cycle which is shown here actually. You know? So the jiva's dependence on Supreme Lord cannot be denied. Even objectively it can be seen, is it not? So if one doesn't follow this chakra, what will happen to him is a shloka coming next. Evam pravartitam chakram
Evam
pravartitam chakram
nanu vartayati haya
Nanu
anuvartayati
aghayur indriya ramo
Aghayurindriyaramo
mogham partha sajivati.
Mogham
Jivati.
So if one doesn't follow na anuvartayati, then what happens? Agha, he gets papa. And he becomes mogha, he becomes bewildered. He gets papa and he becomes bewildered. His life will be very terrible. Read the translation.
My dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain.
Vain. So Prabhupada says this principle of work hard, party harder, whatever people say, eat, work, and eat, pray, and love, something like that. Yeah. So all this, which basically say, marry, make your life bigger, all these words, which are basically filled on the philosophy of sense enjoyment, is condemned. One should actually live for a sacred principle. For those who want enjoyment in this world, there is cycle of yajna that one should follow. There is a regulation given. So Prabhupada explains that part here. So the prosperity of the world. Read this part.
1 minute. The prosperity of the world depends not on your own efforts, but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord, directly carried out by the demigods. Therefore, the yajnas are directly aimed at the particular demigods mentioned in the Vedas. Indirectly, it is the practice of Krishna consciousness, because when one masters the performance of yajnas, one is sure to become Krishna conscious. But if by performing yajnas, one does not become Krishna conscious, such principles are counted as only moral codes.
Moral codes. See, when one practices yajna, when he understands the principle of yajna, he is sure to become Krishna conscious. Because yajnas actually are indicating there the Supreme Lord Krishna. But while performing yajna, he doesn't become Krishna conscious. He doesn't take to Krishna conscious. They are just like moral codes. You follow some rules for betterment of yours. But ultimately, that is not spiritual, because we have not come to the ultimate principle, that is Lord Krishna. So this is shown as a progression. Do not miss out on the essence of yajna, that is Lord Krishna. He is the goal of yajna, yajnapati, yajna purusha, all those words. So after explaining this, which is karma kanda, which is actually a proper method to attain material enjoyment, Arjuna may say, "Oh Krishna, I don't want material enjoyment. I don't have even desire for material enjoyment. I am having no material desires. If I don't have desires, then why should I work?" Now Krishna, he takes the discussion to another platform. Even if a person doesn't have desire of this world, he should still do one's duties. For what purpose? That Krishna will explain from here. So here starts the description of karma yoga, which is at the advanced stage, which is called nishkama karma. Why a person who doesn't have desires, that is nishkama karma, he doesn't have attachment to results, he doesn't want results, then why is he acting in this world? One may say, why is he acting? Why should he act? So that's a very important question, which is coming answered by Krishna. So from karma kanda, where are we going now? It is where Krishna is taking us to explain what stage?
Nishkam
Karma Yoga.
Kama Karma Yoga. So know these stages. Very important to understand where is the discussion, what is the context of the discussion. Yes, Tvatma. Yeah.
Can I ask you something, Prabhuji? Now or later?
Maybe later, because we will do the discussion and I'll devote time at the end. We will have questions. Yes, Tvatmaratir eva syad.
Yes, Atma
Atma triptascha manava. Atmanyeva cha santushtas. Tasya karanam na vidyate. So for a person who has developed Atmarati, he is attached to Atma, Atma Jnana. Atma Tripta, he is self-satisfied. He is so satisfied within, he doesn't have any hankering outside, Santushta. For him, Tasya Karyam na vidyate. For him, there is no obligation to perform duty. Krishna is presenting the argument here. For him, there is no obligation. Very interesting. Read the translation.
Let others do. I have.
Yeah, others, please. Yeah, someone, please.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhu can read. Yeah, Prabhu can read.
But for one who takes pleasure in the self,
Hmm.
whose human life is one of self-realization,
Hmm.
and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty.
See, the more a jiva expects something from the world, happiness, something, needs or whatever, then he has a duty. When you expect something, you have a duty to perform towards them. You can see this principle. But when one doesn't have any expectation from the world, he is taking pleasure in the self, he is internally satisfied, then for him there is no duty, there is no obligation, there is no bondage. Prabhupada explains this with respect to Krishna consciousness. A person who is fully Krishna conscious, he no longer has any duty to perform. So here comes a very important thing. I was one of the devotee, Mataji, had asked a question. What is the reason for him to act? Why does he need to act? Or what is that impetus for him to act? So Krishna is going to explain here. Actually, when a person follows Vedic injunctions, he is obliged to follow because he is receiving from Lord, from Devatas, from so many people of this world. So he has a runa, he is indebted to fulfill. But when one takes to Krishna consciousness, what happens? First thing which happens is all the sinful activities he stops. He understands I have to act for pleasure of Krishna. So I should stop this sinful activity which doesn't please Krishna. All impious activities he stops. Second thing which happens is he realizes that he is servant of Krishna. He is fully confident of his eternal position. Prabhupada says here, you see, his eternal position of servant of Krishna. And by that, he realizes, he understands that knowledge, then he is not obliged to follow Vedic injunctions. So a person who is fully Krishna conscious, who is fully awakened, he doesn't have any obligation to follow Vedic injunctions. What does this mean? Vedic injunctions are like, I was telling, there are Nitya karmas, there are Naimittika karmas, like Shraddha, or some specific samskaras, some things like that. There are obligations, some pujas, things like that. So there are obligations, yes. So until when one is his general leading life, he has that obligation. If he doesn't follow, then he will get sin for it. But when one practices Krishna consciousness, he is worshipping the ultimate, his Supreme Lord, from whom everything is come. He is nourishing us through Pitrus, through our parents, through the Devatas, through the Rishis, whom we are grateful to. So when one is worshipping the Supreme Lord, actually he doesn't have any obligations. One should understand this as a principle. But yet, just like Devata worship I was telling, one may worship the Devatas for other social reasons. Is it not? I was telling there about how other people see, is it not? or with the proper understanding he is worshipping, that is allowed. And that is something optional or additional. But as a principle, a Krishna conscious person is not obliged to follow Vedic injunctions. We may see in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life, he went to offer Pindadana for his father to Gaya. There is a famous holy place in North in Bihar, Gaya. He went there and he offered Pinda for his father. Why does he need to do it? One may see is the Supreme Lord himself, and he's already exhibiting himself as devotee. What is the purpose of Lord doing this? So one may wonder about it. So he did it for several reasons. One is to set an example for the world, and also his love for his father, for showing that how much he loves his father and how a person should follow Vedic injunctions, especially when one is in a Grihastha ashrama. He established that. But when a Vedic injunction is coming in the way of practicing devotional service, then a devotee chooses to follow devotional service and he compromises on Vedic injunction. That is important to note, because he worships Krishna. He considers Krishna as the ultimate worshipable person, who basically he is the one who is protecting, maintaining. So he is no longer interested in Vedic injunctions in that regard. This is also important because I think this is asked as one of the questions in your closed book. How a devotee doesn't have obligation to Vedic injunction. So he has stopped impious activities. He's realized his eternal position, and he has gotten that illumination or knowledge. That's why he's no longer obliged. So Krishna is saying here, if one has self-satisfaction, doesn't expect anything from the world, he doesn't have any duty to perform. Yeah, Arjuna is saying, correct. I am in that stage, Krishna, now. You're talking rightly now, according to me. But now Krishna says next shloka, very interesting. Naiva tasya kritenartho
Naiva
na kriteneha kaschana nachasya sarvabhuteshu kaschit arthavyapashraya. Just like a self-satisfied person or self-realized person has no purpose for doing actions in this world, he has no reason to stop doing those actions. Very interesting. Akrite neha kaschana. Read the translation. A self-realized man.
A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being.
So you're telling, okay, you will have to work because you have to, you have some desire, then only you have to work. In that case, you don't need to work. But what is the reason for you to stop? Tell me, what is the reason for you to stop? What will you do? There is no need. Actually, there is in fact a better purpose if you continue doing your duties. You know what? Krishna says the next shloka in this regard. Tasmat asakta satatam karyam karma samachara asakto hyacharan karma param apnoti purusha. When asakta means one who doesn't have attachment. When a person who is detached, he does his duty, karyam karma. He considers his actions as duty, karya, and he does. Then what does he attain? He attains paramapnoti. Understand this, Arjuna. You may think, oh, I don't have desire, so I will not do my duty. I don't expect anything from the world, so I don't do my duties. Yeah, that is true. You are self-realized, you're self-satisfied. You have awakened that knowledge. But if you continue doing your duties in a detached spirit, you attain Param, the Supreme. What is that Supreme? Prabhupada will explain. Translation, read the translation.
Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty. For by working without attachment, one attains the supreme.
Supreme. So Prabhupada says the supreme for devotees is the supreme Lord, personality. And for a impersonalist, Brahmavadi, it is mukti. Okay. So when a person continues to do Nishkama Karma Yoga, he will attain either mukti or Vaikuntha. So why not do it? Why do you want to stop? So Krishna is saying, why do you want to be materially considered good? Prabhupada says here, if you want to be a good man or non-violent man, that is all your attachment. You act as I am saying. That will be real Nishkama Karma Yoga. That will be perfection of your action. Do not try to be non-violent or materially good. Just act on my instructions. Just follow the Shastra in a spirit of detachment. Be a karma yogi. And Krishna gives 2 examples for karma yogi. I stop actually after 2 more slokas. Just allow me to take few more minutes to complete this section. So he tells the first example in shloka number 20. Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim
Karmanaiva
samsiddhim
asthita janakadayah
astita janakadayah
loka sangrahamevapi
lokasangrahamevapi
sampashyan kartum arhasi.
sampashyan kartum arhasi.
So in the earlier shloka we saw what is the purpose for a self-realized man to continue doing duties. What will he get? In the earlier shloka there was
He will attain Krishna.
He will attain supreme.
Supreme, yes.
Or Vaikuntha, spiritual abode. Now here there is one more purpose explained. Why a self-realized man who is detached should continue doing duties? The purpose is Loka Sangraha. Loka Sangraha means setting example for the people in general. People in general are always looking for someone who is in knowledge, how that person acts. And if that person, I have got a knowledge, I don't have desires or attachment to this world, I'll stop doing duties, then they will consider, yeah, I think I should also do. And they stop doing their duties when they are not purified. And what will happen? So much of confusion will happen. People will become false pretenders, many, many things. It will be such a chaos. And an example Krishna says here is a person by name Janaka. Read the translation.
Kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, he should perform your work.
So Janaka is a king. Prabhupada explains in the purport that he was, actually there are many Janakas. Janaka is one sense a lineage, which actually they are all Mithila kings. So they are coming in that lineage. Mithila was one of the king's name. In that lineage, there are many Janakas. There are 21 generations who are called Janakas. So the specific Janaka who is called here is father of Sita or father-in-law of Lord Sri Rama. So this Janaka, who is in fact considered as one of the Mahajanas, he is a great devotee, he is self-realized soul, and Krishna takes his example. He is one of the live examples. Actually, this is the only example Krishna quotes in Gita by taking name. He only tells principles, but here he's taking the name of a person. Kings such as Janaka, they were real karma yogis. This word is very famous, no? Karma yogi. He's a karma yogi. But actual karma yogi, according to Bhagavadgita, is a dutiful, detached person. What was so special about Janaka? Janaka, he was so detached. There is an instance which comes when he was in his ashrama. He was actually a king, but he used to come to meet his guru, who is Yajnavalkya, and he would often come and hear spiritual knowledge from him. Once, just to show to the extent how greatly is this Janaka spiritually having that detachment from this matter and attachment to spiritual subject matters, Yajnavalkya creates an illusion of fire, as if it has come in the kingdom of Janaka. And one Sainika comes, soldier comes running to Janaka saying that, oh, the kingdom is on fire, the palace is on fire. Then Janaka, not getting up from that place, he just tells the needful instructions and tells him what to do. The fire has not yet approached the ashrama, but other students, other rishis of the ashrama, they get up and start running around to protect their belongings. But Yajnavalkya and his student, who is the student? Janaka. They continue. Yajnavalkya is speaking and he is attentively hearing. At the end, when the sages come back, then Yajnavalkya says, this was an illusion. And see your attachment and his detachment. Though he is working in the world, he's so responsible, he gave instructions, but he is detached. So that shows his detached nature. There are many stories about him in other Puranas. He was the one to whom Mother Sita appeared from the Prithvi. That's why she was called as Bhumija in many ways. And he offered Mother Sita in marriage to that famous pastime in Ramayana. His character comes out when he's giving Kanya Dana. He's giving his daughter to Rama. He says one very famous statement, this Sita, she is such a transcendental, actually she is born from Mother Earth. I am so attached to her. Actually, she is the goddess of fortune. So though he has material detachment, he has spiritual attachment also. And he was telling, she is my Sita, she is my wealth. I am giving you, O Lord Rama, this Sita is my Sita. I am Sita, Mama Sita, like there is a verse in Ramayana. So he is character of both detachment from matter and spiritual attachment. Both are seen in this. So he is beautiful, detached, and very confidentially, he's also a great devotee. But he acted as a very religious, beautiful person when it comes to his duties. Krishna quotes him, they attained perfection by performance of their duties. So in that sense, Lord Krishna and Arjuna, they are also fighting in the battle. They don't have any personal interest, but they are seeing there is a right cause. Just like Janaka saw, I should set an example for the people in general to follow. That's why I will continue doing my duty. Similarly, Arjuna, he should see that there is a spiritual cause here. I have to establish dharma following the order of Krishna. So Prabhupada says, read this, although
one who is situated in Krishna consciousness may not have any interest in the world, he still works to teach the public how to live and how to act.
And generalizing this, Krishna gives a principle. We'll end with this shloka. I'm sorry for holding you a little late. This is the principle which Krishna sees. Famous shloka. Yad yad acharati shreshthas.
Yad yad acharati shreshthas.
Tattat evetaro jana.
Tattat evetaro jana.
Sayat pramanam kurute.
Sayat pramanam kurute.
Lokastat anuvartate. So there are some people who are called Shrestha. That means they are leaders. They are superior. The whole society looks up to them. And whatever achara they do, actions they do, the whole world, jana, they follow it. They are sometimes blind. They just follow what the leaders are doing, whom they consider as leaders. So whatever they say, whatever pramana they establish, they just follow. Read this, Prabhu. Whatever actions
a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues.
Read this part from here. People in general
always require a leader who can teach the public by practical behavior. A leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes? Lord Chaitanya said that a teacher should behave properly before he begins teaching. One who teaches in that way is called Acharya.
So everyone looks up to someone to follow. This tendency is naturally there. So that one who has that responsibility of leading, a leader, he has great responsibility to set proper examples. He teaches in that. In fact, Prabhupada says, Acharya is one who teaches by achara, not just by words, but by his actions. There are many people who just speak very good things, but in their life, their actions are far, far different or separated from their words. You should walk the talk, they say, is it not? So, Acharya is that person who actually follows the teachings. And what teachings, where are those teachings based on? They have to be based on Shastra. They are not, they have to be based on word of God. The leader should exhibit proper examples which are based on Shastra. Many wonderful Shastras, Dharma Shastras, Bhagavata Dharma, many Shastras are there, like Manu Samhita is an important book for Dharma. Prabhupada says Bhagavatam, Mahajanas, we say this principle now in Bhakti, Bhagavat, Mahajano yena gata sapantha. That's also leader, that's also the same principle. We follow the actions of Mahajanas. So there are many natural leaders of a society. We may say, I am not elected as a leader, I am not appointed as a leader or empowered as a leader. Prabhupada says there are some who are naturally leaders. Read this, Prabhu. The king
or the executive head of a state, the father and the school teacher all are considered to be natural leaders of the innocent people in general. All such natural leaders have a great responsibility to their dependents. Therefore, they must conversant with standard books of moral and spiritual codes.
We become devotees, all the other people are looking to us. Hey, this person, how will he behave? How will he eat? How will he act in the situation? They are always seeing at us. What this person speaks as. In this situation, how will he respond? Is it not? In that sense, we have to set proper examples. So there is a lot of practical relevance here. So we should follow Shastra, read Shastra, be conversant with it, and follow the examples of great devotees. And that is what Krishna is telling here. Arjuna, though you think yourself realized, you have a greater purpose in following the duties, not stopping the duties. Yes, there is no need to do the duties. You're not obliged. But there are better purposes. What are the two purposes so far we saw? These are two purposes. What you gain by continue doing duties, though you are self-realized.
To attain the supreme.
Very good.
And for Loka Sangraha.
Loka Sangraha. Very interesting. And for Loka Sangraha, he has given one example, that is Janaka. Another example, which is about himself. He will say it later. Not really Arjuna. He will say, even I follow, though I am supreme. Krishna says, I don't have anything as my duty, but I also follow. This is very important because there is some other angle of vision to this. We'll take this in the next class. So today we saw in the yoga ladder, the first step. What was that? The first step of yoga ladder?
Animal life.
Yeah, that's a default. Karma Kanda. So Karma Kanda, Krishna explained the principle of yajna, how yajna fulfills material needs and ultimately takes one to the path, chance of liberation. And the cycle of yajna we saw, that is very important. And if one doesn't follow the yajna chakra, he will fall into papa and mogha. And then Arjuna says, oh, I don't have desires to fulfill. That's why I don't need to perform yajna. I am situated in knowledge. So Krishna says there are better reasons for you to, in fact, more reasons, important reasons for you to continue doing duties. You will attain supreme, and most importantly, you have to set proper example. People will think, oh, I can also renounce, just like Arjuna did. He left the battlefield. I can also do. Just imagine what kind of chaos it will lead. So Krishna is explaining this. It will continue ahead, the Karma Yoga description. And next section we'll have on Friday. We'll meet at 6:30 for that session. There are some important announcements that Swash Prabhu will do it. After which, if there are any questions, I'm here for a few more minutes to take.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Mataji. So, Chaitanya Prasad Prabhu and myself, we had a detailed call sometime back just before our class today. There are a couple of announcements what we thought we'll make. So based on the feedback I have personally received from a lot of devotees, Prabhuji and we are under impression that before Dashara, the day of Friday and Monday, which is 20th October and 23rd October, we are actually proposing to cancel the classes because a lot of devotees are not available and they will be traveling to different maybe hometowns or vacation because it's a holiday Dashara vacation for the kids. So 20th and 23rd, right, of October, which is Friday and Monday, our Bhakti Shastri classes will be called off for those 2 days, and that's good news. And we have another news also now. Right? So those 2 days we will have to compensate in the following weeks because Prabhuji will be extremely busy if the Kartik Yatra starts from the mid of November. So I think we are trying to accommodate classes before the Kartik Yatra starts. So we request all of you to accommodate the classes for next 2 following weeks on the Wednesday. So the schedule is let me just read out the schedule for you. I just made a note. So we will actually have the class on 13th of this week, on Friday as usual. So 16th also we will have the class as usual next Monday, right? So 20th, which is Friday, 23rd Monday, we will not have the classes, right? And we will all meet again on 27th of October, right? So as usual on Friday after Dashara, and 30th of October, again, we will have class as is. The first class for which we will have to compensate will be on 1st of November, which is on Wednesday, right? 1st of November, please make a note of it. And on 3rd of November, we are going to have the class as it is, Friday, no change. And 6th of November, as it is, no change. 8th of November, Wednesday, the second class, which we lost on 23rd, which we will lose on 23rd, basically, we will be doing that on 8th of November, right? The second compensating class. And on 10th of November, as it is. So the 2 classes which we are losing, we are compensating on November 1st and 8th on both the Wednesdays, right? Please remember that. And yeah, I'll come to you, Mataji, Minu Mataji, right? And the second announcement, probably you can ask questions, Prabhuji can answer, or both of us can answer, right? The second thing is our shloka tests also, because we are not able to make classes on 20th and 23rd. So Prabhuji suggested that we will move it into the following week. So 4 days, we will have the shloka tests after the classes, right? Every day, there will be about 5-6 people based on Prabhuji's schedule. We will try to squeeze in, accommodate here and there, right? Which I will open up a Google sheet like what we have done for NOI and Ishopanishad shloka test. Then based on your slots, all of you can fill in, right? The shloka tests will be on 27th Friday, okay? 30th October, which is on Monday, 27th, 30th, please make a note, okay? 6th of November, sorry, 1st of November, 6th of November.
Not third.
Yes, Prabhu.
Wednesday, Prabhu.
Is that third also? Third, which is Friday?
Yeah. Third. Oh, did I miss third? Yes, I missed third. Yeah. 27, 30 of October, 1st and 3rd of November. 4 days. So we are going to have Bhagavadgita shloka tests in the first part of it. Second part, probably Prabhuji will announce after we finish the first part of it. So the first part means Prabhuji, first to third chapters, right?
6 shlokas. I have given you the message. You can.
Yes. The first part will be on these 4 days. I will open up the Google sheet. So please fill in the details. So Prabhuji will take about 5-6 people on a single day. So Prabhuji, on average, will we will be spending about 7-8 minutes per person.
Yeah. Yes.
So
So
we'll
the
discuss
shloka tests should be, as I told earlier, it should be verbatim exact Sanskrit words, and translation can be paraphrased, and there should not be hiccups, at least in the shloka recitation. It should be seamless as much as possible. We have been practicing. Please try to practice and come.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I think we have announced. Prabhuji and Matajis, if you have any questions, please post it. Prabhuji or I, any of us can answer.
Prabhuji, on 1st November, we have Karva Chauth fast. If you can adjust this class, because I don't want to miss that.
Mataji, we are already missing.
Anyways, you will do puja after 8:30.
No, Mataji, puja has to done after sunset, and whenever the moon comes, we have to do the again puja.
Which is generally after 8:30, right?
That is not a problem. Moon rises around 8:30 or 9. That is not a problem. But the puja timing is 6:30 or 7.
I think it's 8th November is the Karva, not 1st November. It's 8th November.
So 1st and 8th both.
Mataji, I think the compensation classes will be on 1st and right 8th. So based on Prabhuji's schedule, we had to really work tight to fix those 2 days. So I don't know, Prabhuji, any suggestion from your side?
Is there a possibility either Tuesday or Thursday? I'm okay.
I'm okay for any day, Prabhuji.
Others tell me, Prabhu, check with others. If Tuesday or Thursday also. I don't know whether this is a festival. I did not notice that.
No, only I'm doing that festival, Prabhuji. Okay. So
we'll discuss internally, Prabhuji. So based on everyone's availability, then we will try to adjust something. Sure, Mataji. We'll come back to you. Any questions, any clarifications, anyone?
Prabhuji, 6 shlokas, right, Prabhuji?
Correct. The 6 ones we did now. Today, all the shlokas we did in the beginning, they are the very same ones, 6.
I think Surbhi Mataji also posted today in the group, Brahmrama Mataji. Right? I think she posted the shlokas. Yeah, you can go through them.
The first 6 shlokas, Mataji, out of 12.
Prabhuji, can you record the audio and send in the group so we can practice?
Not much difficult. Okay, I think there are many very nice recitations available. If you're not able to get, then I will send. It's not much. I'll point out to the right distance. Okay, I'll check that.
Maybe if you have some video links, Prabhuji, you can.
Links I don't have. I don't have it yet. So we will try what is possible. At least
I think it should be available on the.
We are doing it. You can take that itself.
Yeah, there are a lot of videos available on the YouTube also. You just type the shloka name. You'll have a lot of senior devotees, Maharajas videos. That's how we practice. So if they miss their pronunciation.
Because every class we do it. So if you just hear that part of recitation of the class, first part, that's all sufficient.
Yeah, I think our recording will also be uploaded tomorrow, day after Mataji. Then you can just go through the recording also. You'll have all the first 6 shlokas there.
Yeah, okay, Prabhuji.
Okay, so actually my effort has been to, actually I was scheduled to complete it before 10th November, that is ISKCON Chaupati Kartik Yatra, for which many would be going, and I am so busy. But it looks like it will go to December. But nonetheless, I am trying to, as much as possible, even shloka test also there. So when I was speaking to Ananta Gopa Prabhu, he was asking me, please take the proper time for which devotees need and complete it. So I may take few sessions, 2-3 maximum after Kartik Yatra and complete the unit. And then you can have your further assessments. But please be regular because these are important concepts. I cannot rush through, but I'm trying my best to keep the pace. Thank you. That's all I had.
Prabhuji, before we log off, I just have one clarification from our devotees. Prabhuji and Mataji, may I know somebody is joining with the name of Rashmi. And I don't see the name of devotee in any of our lists. May I know who is that? Rashmi Mataji? Hare Krishna. I tried sending personal messages also a couple of times, but I haven't received any response. Rashmi Mataji, Hare Krishna, are you able to hear us?
Okay.
No response. Okay, fine. We'll figure that out. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you. We will meet next Friday, 6:30 p.m. Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavadgita.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dandavat Pranam.
Dhanyavad.